Hey, what's going on, everybody? Wow, did you see that big move to the downside? Well, oh my goodness, the fractal was like right on the point there. So this should be the low. If we go any lower, then it's not going to look good at all. It's going to look more like what we've been talking about, right? Which is a 1, 2, 1, 2. When we come down and we backtest this area here, and we get that big wave to the upside. So that's, the idea if we continue to break lower. If we don't, right, the same thing we've been talking about. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all except, alt got pretty killed today. And, like I've been saying the past couple days, I've noticed the altcoins are very sensitive. So like any little move Bitcoin makes, the altcoins are very dramatic in their moves. And we've seen that today. So, a lot of coins are down 10+%, which is a pretty big move there. But wow, look at this fractal. Very interesting. Look right there. You see that red candle? Look how nicely it matches up with the fractal. Now it's not, perfect, but when I move it up and I move it down, it kind of fits like a glove here. So if this should be the bottom. I mean, if it's not the bottom, right? When I say it should be the bottom, I'm saying according to the fractal. According to the fractal. I was busy this morning, so I missed this whole move. So I just jumped and started recording. So I'm going to go and look at the charts. But the first chart I turned on was Theta and Bitcoin, XRP, and Bitcoin still looks very bullish. I mean, it's still, in the bull zone. So the fact that, Theta is so close to the support, right? Any movement to the downside could send Theta, below support. But so far, it's holding support here. So, if you saw yesterday's video, I wouldn't say you expected this move because I mean, this move happened fast, right? It happened very fast. And it might not be over. But we did expect some downside. I don't know if this is all we get or if we get more. We're going to have to dissect this wave. So stick around and let's see if we can work on it. But yeah, just a review here of this fractal. Let's just review everything we have so we have a level head here, right? Let's put your emotions to the side, because your emotions will not help you figure things out. So let's figure this out. So we have obviously this down move, come back up, we come back up, come back down. Then we have this three-wave move back to the upside. That takes out the top. Three-wave move back to the upside, takes out the top. Then we come down, right? Then we come down. And then it looks like we go back up. And that could have been this wave here. Yes, this was a lot bigger, but, the wave structure looks like that would have happened. Now, I would have liked to seen it come back up to here, but maybe that's all she wrote right there. And then, all of a sudden, we had this big flash crash all the way down. It got people very bearish, right? It broke the low. It even pierced through this low, right? You can't see it because it's a fractal, but I'm sure the wick there was pretty big, right? So, you had this big dump to the downside. So maybe that is what this is right here. And then, right, because think about what's happening right now, right? If you've been following this channel, I think you got a pretty level head of what's been going on here. Think about what we talked about with liquidity grabs, with fake outs, with sentiment changing on a dime, right? Because I'm looking on X and I see people saying it's over, right? It's that's all we get, But those are just, that's just how it makes people feel. But a lot of times, right, the market will do something extraordinary, right? And it's really not that bad. I mean, when you zoom out, I mean, you can't even, it's not bad at all, right? Now, the part that I don't like is we lost the bull market support band. That isn't good, right? I would have loved to see it hold, but it could still hold, right? We still have 5 hours left in the day. So, you know, 1 or 2 candles ain't too bad as long as it sticks around. We just don't want any big weekly candles below it. If that's the case, then we're coming down to back test $1.44, $1.50 area. I mean, that's just all there is to it. But I still go back to, you know, this fractal here. And you can see it actually, to the exact candle, called this dump here, which is pretty remarkable. So you would imagine this should be some kind of sharp V-shaped recovery, right? And it would make sense that people feel this way, right? The market makers, you have to understand, they're essentially like psychological machines, and they're designed to, you know, the algorithms inside of the trading bots, right? They're computer programs, they're high frequency trading. They're basically designed to do things like this, to completely change and crush crypto sentiment. And then behind the closed door, they're scooping up all the crypto that people are capitulating on, right? And then also, it could have been, you know, I'm not sure. This just happened. It's happening now. It could get worse. But this could have been a liquidation event, right? People over leveraged, and bam, it just takes the liquidity out. So if that's the case, then it should be short lived. It shouldn't be, you know, any worse than it is now. Now, if it is, then we know, obviously, that, you know, where we're going. And where we're going is most likely, you know, $1.50. So, but yeah, you know, we'll talk about that count. But just real quick, you know, looking at this fractal here, you can see basically we should start heading up. We'll see if it holds true, right? I mean, we're gonna find out. The thing is, you know, we're going into the weekend, so I don't know if there's gonna be much more selling. And then the market makers, they actually did a sneaky tactic, because this type of move I was expecting, or I wasn't expecting, but I would have thought would have came on Thursday, right? Thursdays usually their big move days, but they kind of had a steady day, and they made people feel complacent, like, oh, okay, nothing's gonna happen. It's Friday tomorrow, but then bam, they took it down. So they are pretty sneaky. So let me remove that. And let's go take a look back in the day and see how that fractal reacted. So you can see it was a pretty nasty wick here. Let me put this here, and I'm gonna put one there. So basically, we could see this move up, right? And you can see this candle here. It came all the way down. It basically was a liquidation. It came all the way down to support here, right? So, you know, it came down to support. So let's take a look back over here. It does look definitely more bearish. It looks way more bearish. I have to be honest. It looks way more bearish than that. Specifically because the move we just saw, right, it came up here and it fell from a higher point. This came up and it's falling from at a low point, so it doesn't have much wiggle room. So as it comes down, I mean, you're right at support, and I think you pierced through some of it. So I'm going to put this wick right there, that's where we fell. That's the bottom there, $1.85. So that could be good and that could be bad. So it could be good in the sense that the price breaks below support to grab liquidity, right? Because remember what I've been saying, there's a lot of liquidity that is resting under these closes, especially under these wicks. And where did it came right below, and now it's getting bought back up. So we'll see if buyers show up. So this is basically it. This is do or die. Does the buyer show up and bring this wick up, right? Because the number one goal for today is to close above $1.91. If we close below this low, because this is the lowest close on the daily, if we close below that, it's not going to look good. It's going to look like we need to come down to $1.50. So that's kind of where we are with the price of Theta. So when I put this downward resistance line, I'm trying to see if we're still above it or below it. Look at this. If I put it sort of right there, it's almost like, yeah, we are below it. So make sure I'm not going through the bodies. Yeah, I'm going through it slightly. So we did fall back below this line, but again, the day's not over. We can still get bought back up. So let's take another look here and see what we got. This is not the time to panic and to sell everything, right? I'm a hodler, and I accumulated right there, right on the bull market support band. And if I can go back in time, I wouldn't have changed it. I'm still happy that I bought, because you don't know if you're going to go below it, right? This is historically has been the best time to buy, and it still could be, right? But let's take a look at the wave structure here. It appears that we have a 5-wave move, right? It appears that way. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we get some kind of 3-wave pullback like this that looks weak, then I'm expecting it to come down. It doesn't necessarily, when a crash occurs, people expect it to keep crashing. And that's usually not what happens. Usually what happens is you'll have that first initial crash, and then all the liquidations occur, and then people will start selling. But what happens is the price actually comes back, like it makes a pullback. And then people are like second guessing, well, man, I shouldn't have sold it, right? It's just like when the price comes up, everybody's very bullish and they buy the top, and then it comes down, right? Same thing here. We're coming down, everybody's bearish. We have a big dump to the downside, right? And you can see, this is actually a good example right here. You can see this candle was the end of the move, right? You essentially had this 3-wave move, and this big green candle was the end, and then it reversed. Well, maybe that's what's happening here. You have this, you could argue 3 or 5. We'll talk about it, but you have this big red candle. Could this be the end, right? Just like how everybody was bullish here when this candle occurred, bullish engulfing candle. It looked really good. People bought in, right? And then it came back down. So if this big candle here, it's basically, the opposite, right? So we'll see if that is the case, or is it setting off something big? Because remember, nothing is changed yet. We are still inside of this range, right? As long as we're in this range, I'm still expecting for the price to go up. If we start breaking below this range, then I would expect, right? Remember our Wyckoff pattern here? We broke out of it, and sometimes price needs to come down and backtest this all of this area in here, right? So somewhere right around there. And then you can get that big explosion to the upside. So just by looking at it, it kind of looks like it needs to do that. It kind of looks like it needs to come down. But again, let's wait and see if the price starts, let's first of all, we got to see what the weekly candle is going to do. Sunday is right around the corner. And then we got to figure out, are we going to get continuation by breaking this range? So let's look at the smaller time frame. And this all happened in this 4-hour candle. So it'll be interesting to see when this 4-hour candle closes. Is it going to close, is the following candle going to be a continuation, right? So let's take a look here. So now, well, what I had originally was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. We bounced off the bull market support band. We had a 1. This is a 2. Let's go. Right? That was one of the ideas. Obviously, that is completely invalidated because this wick took out this low. So you cannot have an ABC take out wave 1. So this is not your beginning wave, right? I mean, you could look at that as a good thing or a bad thing. You can look at it as, well, wave 1 hasn't even started yet, which means you have more potential room to go. The worst part is that we broke below this trend line here. So you can see this trend line here. We completely sliced through it. So that's not good. So some kind of three-way pullback that goes up into the trend line, right? And then most likely back to the downside. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like this could be, right? I'm going to talk bearish right here. So 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then this is probably the third wave. We get 4, and then we come down for 5. Now, we might not have to go all the way down back to this support area. We might not have to. That's a tough one. Because we could, make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As long as we take out this low here, I mean, that would count as the ending of this wave. But more times than not, that's most likely where you head. Zooming into the 10-minute chart, you can see we got some pretty nice wicks here, signaling a local bottom, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if we came all the way back up and retested it as resistance, something like this. If we get a nice impulse with a three-way pullback, we could probably break it. But if this kind of moves up correctively, gets a sharp impulse down, we might continue the trend down. So it's kind of a do or die situation. So I'll circle back to Theta, but just to explain here, the weekly chart is now, you can see it slid right underneath the bull market support band. So basically this candle is trading below this engulfing candle, which isn't good, right? It started off nice, but it ended up being a wick here, right? So in the beginning of the week, that's why I don't like when things pump early in the week, because that usually means some kind of trap coming in. But yeah, this candle was looking really good in the beginning, and then, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So when we zoom all the way out, I mean, you can't even see what happened. I mean, you have to squint with your eyes to even see what the heck just happened. So it's not so bad on the grand scheme of things. I'm still looking at this, right, as a base. This is a massive impulse to the upside. This is a pullback. This is an accumulation base, and this is a breakout, which means more upside is coming. The big thing is though, do we have to backtest this base? Because we broke out of it, we can easily come all the way down and backtest that $1.50, then go to the upside. So we're almost there, if that's the case, right? Or this is just continuing to range. You had a little liquidation event, and then you're going to continue making that fifth wave. So, you know, when you zoom out and you look at it like that, it's still, nothing's changed. It's still very, very, very bullish, right? So now, by the way, Filecoin didn't do anything. Look at this. Look at Quant down 5%, Theta down almost 9%, XRP 6%, Matic 9%, Bitcoin 3%, Doge 9%, SHIB 7%, Ethereum 3.5%. Look at Filecoin. I mean, wow. Let's take a look here. And you could say, well, who cares about Filecoin? But no, but look, if Filecoin didn't get affected as bad, then that's actually a bullish sign for Theta and for all the other coins. So let's zoom in here and see what the hell happened. Whoa, look at that. Now that's interesting. Okay, so what happened here was a fake out. And I was actually holding Filecoin. Where did I buy it? Somewhere in here. I did not expect. I did not think that was going to happen. So what happened was you broke out and you ran right into the bull market support band. You got rejected, and then you came down. But because it broke out, the move to the downside wasn't bad. Like most coins, their move to the downside was down here, right? But Filecoin, it actually just came back to where it launched from, which is interesting, right? I mean, that is a nasty looking candle, that red candle, but it's still basically in the same spot it was all week. So it's still there, right? So that's interesting. Man, QNT just got annihilated. But look at that. Look at the wick, though. That's insane. I mean, that is a massive wick there. I mean, that's actually bullish. If I zoom in. See, I wasn't paying attention. I should have been paying attention. I could have capitalized on some of these trades here. This was great volatility. Yeah, we slammed down here at $75. QNT is up from that bottom about almost about 13.5%. That's pretty good. Now it could be a dead cat bounce, but the thing is the higher it bounces, the more likely it is that it was a liquidation event and we're just basically resetting. So, you know, go back to COVID, right? Remember what happened there? Let's see, is it on here? I think it was right here. Was this COVID here? Yeah. So this is VeChain, and you know, it was one big liquidation event, but then it continued to roll. That's probably not the best example. And I'm going to get to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to be the big grand finale, because what you're going to want to know, Bitcoin is the one you're going to want to know. So XRP, oh man, XRP. So again, we were right in this triangle here, right? And I said something's going to happen. Something big is going to happen. I mean, we came right to the middle of that apex. So it was either up or it was down, and the market revealed itself. That looks like the beginning of a fifth wave. So for the XRP holders, this is actually what we talked about. So if you've been following the channel, you know exactly what I'm about to say. So there's two ideas for XRP, right? So the first idea was the bullish idea, right? And they're both very bullish, by the way. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have an A, we have a complex B, and then we have, or I'm sorry, let me do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a W, we have an X wave, and then we have a Y, right? So W, X, Y. So we have a three-wave move down. And this was basically a base in here, and now we're about to go to the upside, right? So basically you had a wave 1. This is your wave 1. This is your three-wave move down. So boom, boom, boom. So that's your three-wave move. So you can see this wave 1, this three-wave move down, and now we're going to the upside, right? You can see the shape, and that was the idea. So the other idea is basically the exact same thing except an ABC. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have an A, you have a complex B, and then you have 1, 2, 3. You have a fourth wave triangle, and then you come down for wave 5. And wave 5 will land not below this low here, hopefully, right? Somewhere between 35 and 40 cents. Somewhere right there. And once we get there, that's where the moonshot occurs. You know, you play around in here, maybe build a little base, and then you fly. And this whole thing would be wave 1, and this whole thing would be wave 2, right? So, and we're in wave C right now, right? A, this is B, and now we're in C, and wave C has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're right there. So that's looking like what she's going to do. Unless, of course, this is some kind of liquidation and we don't get as much of a crash as we think. Because we still haven't technically broke down, right? We broke from this rising trend line, but we didn't break this range here, right? Theta is still holding the range. XRP is still holding the range, right? Bitcoin definitely is holding the range. So, you know, we're still holding support. We've gotten crushed a lot lower, right? Because you could see here, this is the top of the range, the bottom of the range. We came down, we wicked right through that support, and now we got bought right back up, which is good. That's what we want to see. Now, as far as the local support, there is support here that we broke below, right at 50 cents. So you have this line here, but probably the reason we broke it, obviously, that, you know, we had a big crypto crash, so everything's going to crash together. But technically, you started from here and you came all the way up to here. So this is your wave right there. That's a pretty big wave. And this is a three-wave move. So you have one, and then you have B, or I should say A, and then you have B, and now you're going down for C. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So that's what I would think here, right? If we're going to still hold bullishly and not break this low. Because that's the whole thing, is do we break that low? So this whole thing, right? Again, this is one wave to the upside. And this is a three-wave pullback. Or I'm sorry, yeah, this is a three-wave, or this is A, this is B, and this is C. So this is the three-wave pullback right there. So this could be 1, this could be 2, and that could be the liquidation, and let's go. Remember, not financial advice. These are ideas based off what just happened here. And then also you can see where XRP's been. I mean, it has been trailing this support for a long time. So, you know, it hits it and hits it and hits it, hits it. So the more it hits it, the more weak it becomes, right? The more weak it becomes. So you always want to think worst case scenario. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get down here, and then you kind of continue higher. So that's exactly what happened the last time before XRP exploded to the moon. So look at this right here. So here's XRP's big run up right there. There's the big run up. But what happened just prior to that big run up? The exact same thing that's happening now, right? Look how many times it rested on the support. Remember, we were just talking about support. Boom, boom, boom. The more times it hits it, the more it gets weak. So, you know, we're hitting it, we're hitting it, we're hitting it, we're hitting it. And then what happened was we sliced right through it, and we actually broke the support, right? Not counting that wick, because that wick is only on this chart, but some of the other charts, it was only a couple candles, right? So take a mental screenshot of that, right? So here's your bottom. You come back up, you bounce, bounce, bounce. You come up into the spring, you go down into the spring, you break the support, you grab the liquidity, and then you take it to the moon. So that's exactly what's happening here. Same exact thing, right? You take it up, right? You hit support, hit support again, right? And then, right, we break through it, we grab that liquidity, and then you take it to the upside. This is exactly what the hell happened last time. I mean, you can't even, it's hysterical because a lot of people can't figure out the XRP chart. I mean, a lot of people that charts that they know really well how to read charts, and they just can't figure it out. And it is very tough. But, you know, the best thing about XRP is it has a beautiful roadmap of what happened last time, and it's literally what's happening now. So you could see this support is exactly this support here. And you can see where it broke down right there before it went to the moon. So the question is, right, but, you know, are we going to, you know, the same thing, here's the support. Are we going to break down and then go to the moon? I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. And I wouldn't say that if Bitcoin wasn't in a position. Bitcoin is in the best position, right, for that to happen. But here's the thing. I've been saying that maybe we already got it, right? Because if you put the support here, we technically, right, already got the liquidity grab right there. So now we just had another one right here. So to me, is that sufficient enough, right? Is that sufficient enough to qualify what happened last time, right? So right here. I mean, that's, so let's actually look at that here. So how much did we fall below that support line? We fell approximately 10%. So how far did we fall on this support line? Let's look. I don't think it's 10%. I don't see 10% here. I'm actually going to put it there to match up with the close. So it actually fell. No, take that back. That was almost 12%. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put it right on this close here, and let's see how much it fell below the line. So I'm going to put it from the line all the way down. Yeah, that's about that's exactly the same thing. I mean, so maybe that's it. Maybe that's what we get. We fell 10%. We had a 10% drawdown below support, which was a liquidity grab, which initiated the biggest bull run in XRP's history. So I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but man, it looks so freaking similar. And the thing is Bitcoin back over here was in the same position as it is now, right? Let's see if I got Bitcoin here. Yeah, so here's basically Bitcoin breaking above the all-time high here, right? And you can't really see it. But right here, let's see, that's where Bitcoin broke its all-time high, what is exactly what it's doing now before that big run-up. Now, I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to have a big run-up like that. I do think it will continue on all-time highs, but you know, we're just going to have to wait for that. So yeah, that's kind of what we have here. We have this the same situation. So that's what I'm thinking here with XRP is, number one, we're either going to get this to come down like this, right? But then to me, like, if that happens, it wouldn't be very fast. It would actually take multiple weeks. But and then also that would make sense because this structure is way bigger than that other structure. So to me, right, it took, how many candles was that? You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say maybe 3 to 6 candles at the most. So this has only been, you know, a couple candles and not even a wick, right? Or actually 2 wicks, and that was it. So here's the thing. If we come down here, right, that's going to be the do or die. That's going to be the real do or die, right, for XRP. Because if we break this low, man, it's not going to be good at all. Then at that point, I would say, okay, this is not reaccumulation. This is basically just one huge fourth wave in a C wave. So we have A, we have B, and then we have C. And inside wave C, we have 1, 2, 3. All of that's 4, and then we get 5. It's just way too big. This is the biggest fourth wave in human history. I just can't see that. It just doesn't make sense. We could come down and break this trend here, right? And grab some liquidity and then go, and that's exactly what we're doing now. But yeah, that's kind of the thing here. So let's take all that off and let's look at it from that perspective. So if I take a trend line, look at this. Let's see if we broke the trend line. No, we didn't break. We sliced right through it, but we haven't closed below it, right? Let's go to the weekly here. Now the weekly chart, yes, we are currently breaking below it now without going through the bodies of the candle. Actually, no, it's a very fine line how you draw it. But if I had to draw it, I'd probably draw it like this, the most amount of touches here. So we sliced through that trend line and we got bought back up. So, I don't know. That's a big thing here. If we come down, boom, boom, and then this finishes out, we're definitely going to break it. And then, when you break that trend line, people go short, or people probably already are short. But then basically you're going short after a 5-wave move. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then people go short. It doesn't make sense to me. You're going to get at least a 3-wave pullback, some type of 3-wave pullback. But more than likely, you're probably going to, if you form a little base here, you're more than likely just going to continue into that 3rd wave. Because you have wave 1, this is wave 2. Wave 2 is not finished yet, then you get wave 3. So, yeah, let's look at, is the 2-week chart going to end today? No. The monthly chart just started, so anything can happen there. So let's go to Bitcoin finally and see, and let's look at this objectively now. So Bitcoin, and this is probably going to be the most important part, because this is where the altcoins, you know, are going to make it or break it, is what Bitcoin. Now look what Bitcoin did. It's all the way at the top of the resistance, while the altcoins are all at the bottom of their resistance. So that's interesting. So Bitcoin is sitting here at the top of its resistance, and then it had a pretty big red candle, but not that big, right? Not big like some of these candles. I mean, you can see a lot of these candles are much bigger. So it wasn't big at all. It was just a little pullback here. And we even talked about 69K, even 66, 67. I would say between 64 and 67K. That's what we talked about being the pullback. But what I'm trying to say is, you know, altcoins are down here at their support. Bitcoin's up here at its resistance. So any little move, so let's say Bitcoin needed to come down halfway, then that would mean the altcoins would have then lost their support. That's kind of the issue, right? So the altcoins can still have a bigger, bloodier massacre, right? Like, for example, you know, even Ethereum is still way up here. So, you know, if Ethereum has to come all the way back down, right? And this is, let's say this is wave 1, and then it comes down for wave 2, it still has much further to go. The problem is Bitcoin has a lot of room to fall, and the altcoins have literally no room to fall. So if the Bitcoin falls anymore, then the altcoins are for sure going to break lower and go, you know, back test their breakout levels like Theta, right? So you could see here's Theta and Bitcoin's up here. So if Bitcoin needed to pull back, then that means Theta is going to dump down to here. That's what that means. So then once Bitcoin gets going again, that's when Theta goes even harder, right? So, you know, if I put Bitcoin side by side here, and I'm actually going to stay with me here. I'm going to put the line chart there, and let's go black. There we go. Okay. So, let me actually put that down here. Okay, so here's Bitcoin is the line chart. Theta is the candles, right? So again, this could have been a 1, 2, 3, 4, a truncated fifth. Remember we talked about that. You know, it probably might be. Now, I don't think anybody was considering the fifth wave being truncated, right? Because most people expected, let me go back to Bitcoin. Most people expected a 5-wave move here, including myself. But I did raise the possibility that it could have been truncated. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. I think that's what people were waiting for. But it looks like we had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we had a truncated fifth. Now it's starting its ABC down to 64.5K. And that's what I think is going to happen here. And we build maybe a base down in here. So rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We go sideways in here. And then we go. So we have more downside to go. So we're at 69.3. And we need to go 65 or, around 64.5K. Somewhere in this backtest zone here. So, just like this. So we have this three-wave move down. We back tested the bull market support band. We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth was truncated. So now we need to come down ABC and back test this area down in here. So basically you take this whole wave, right, and just cut it in half, and that's usually where you go. And you come down here. So if we have to do that, right, and then play around and then take off, right, you're basically flagging out in here, a big flag here, right, down to support. And that's sort of been my main idea. But one thing, you know, I kind of considered, but was more brought on to me within the last couple of days, is the altcoins were very fragile. So if Bitcoin is all the way at the top here and the altcoins are all the way at the bottom, then if this has to come down halfway of this wave here, it still has quite a ways to go, right? Which means that, you know, when you look at, go back to Theta here, I mean, we're right at the brink of falling down here. So that's the problem that I see, right? That's the issue. So again, if Theta or if Bitcoin wants to do, you know, that ABC, then Theta is basically right at the support here. So it's you know, we have basically no wiggle room to the downside. So any movement Bitcoin goes down, it's likely going to crush the price of Theta. But then, right, do not fear, because the 1212 would be here, right? So there's always that bright side. I would rather not have to do that because it would just take more time, but, you know, whatever. So let's see. We are at the 1618. We're literally right at the 1618 here. So if we had to come down to the 786, that would be basically our last line here. Basically a 78.6% correction to the downside. Now, if I took this down even to the bottom here, we're still at the 1618, right about $1.81 here. So look at this, guys. This is absolutely phenomenal here. And this, you know, again, this could be a fake out here. That's why we don't really know. If Bitcoin needs to come down a little bit further, which it kind of looks like it does, I would expect the altcoins to probably fall below their support. But, you know, just be on the lookout for shenanigans. Don't place all your bet on that possibility happening, right? Because, again, when you look at, if I take a Fibonacci retracement from basically where I started my channel, where it's basically down here at 64 cents. And basically, since we've been down here, this is where I've been saying we need a retracement, and that's exactly what we've been doing. So this is a correction, and you know, this whole venture, this whole move to the upside is just a correction, and I most likely will go back and meet our retracement levels. But when I pull this Fibonacci here, you can see we had a 618 retrace. I mean, look at the wick. We basically nailed it, and we bounced off pretty dramatically. So Theta from this wick approximately is up 11%. So that was a lot of volatility, right? So Theta actually fell from this candle about 17% in one day, and then again it got bought back up. So, but we fell right to the 618, right? We fell right to the 618, and that is what, $1.80 or so. So yeah, it pretty much nailed it. Now, if we have to, if Bitcoin falls, right? If Bitcoin needs to fall, Theta doesn't have much wiggle room. So where I would put it is right about $1.53, which is at 702. We don't want to fall below that. If we fall below the 702, then it could be a reversal, right? So luckily we have a lot of wiggle room between now and then, right? So if I put this up here and we come down, we have about a 24%, 23.5% wiggle room to the downside, right? So we could potentially fall another 23. I just can't see that though. I mean, yeah, we fell. What was it again? This daily candle here, we fell, yeah, 17%. And Bitcoin fell. Let's see if we could do some math here. And Bitcoin only fell from its daily candle, right? Actually, I'll start it from the wick. About 5%. So for every 5% Bitcoin falls, Theta fell 17%. So if Bitcoin has to fall another 5%, that would get us close to that backtest area. So I would actually say, between 5 and 7%, Bitcoin has the potential to fall another 5 to 7%, which means, I'm not good with math on the top of my head, but it would be at least 20% for Theta to fall, if we're going by those numbers that we just did. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. So another thing I mentioned yesterday, right, is we still have this big shoulder. We have this head here. And again, a lot of people thought, okay, this is the shoulder, right? Everybody at retail was looking at it. We're going to break out. Let's go. So that's why I think this is more like a liquidation event, because you have to see, right? This is what separates good analysts, to the so-so ones, right? So where did we fall at? Like if we fell here or here or here, we actually fell right where retail would have longed it, right? And that's where I said I wouldn't do that yet. I would wait. So, because this move looked very three-wave-ish. So I wasn't sure if that was some type of B wave, and B waves can be traps, right? But on the other hand, you can say, well, that was a shoulder. This is a shoulder, this is a head, this is another shoulder. It's an inverse head and shoulders. We're literally right here. We completed the right shoulder, so we're going to break out. So I'm going to long it, and then bam, we came down. So one of the things I said was this could actually be developing a bigger shoulder, right? You can see how this has 1, 2, 3, 4, right, to complete the shoulder. 1, 2, 3, 4, right, to complete the shoulder. So it had a couple more points in there, but it doesn't look pretty, if it had to do that. We're still holding this trend line here, so it's pretty steep here. So I'd imagine we would break it. I'll try to get another video out today or for sure tomorrow, and we'll update it here. But let's just recap real quick. So the main, since we were back over here, the main idea has been either an ABC down to the bull market support band, then we continue higher, or a rise, crash, retrace, we go into reaccumulation, we go sideways, then we continue higher. Or this is an ABC, and Bitcoin actually has to go all the way down and back test, and then we continue higher. So that's the thing, right? That's the thing we don't know. So now a lot more people, right, are basically saying this is a B wave, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lot of people are saying that this is an A, this is a B, this is a C, right? And that is one of our ideas. But if that idea happened and we had to go all the way down there, then what would the altcoins look like? The altcoins, in my opinion, would get pretty killed, depending how exerted they would get. Because sometimes, you know, when Bitcoin falls, actually the altcoins hold better. And since they already fell a lot, right? Or if they continue to come down here. So for example, you know, let's talk possibilities. Let's say that Bitcoin did a simple rise, crash, retrace. We came down for reaccumulation. We went sideways. We broke out. What would Theta do in that event? Well, I can only assume, but I would imagine we would come down and we would hit the 702. We would finish out this wave, A, B, C, right? And then we would continue higher. But let's say Bitcoin decided to come all the way down, back down to the support here, and then go. Well, then at that case, I would imagine Theta would backtest that $1.50 level. But let's say this is an ABC, and Bitcoin had to come back and backtest 50K ABC, right? And then what would Theta do? Well, that's a big question that I don't know. That's a big unknown to me. We would likely fall somewhere in this zone, I would imagine, around that 75 cent to $1 area, right? So that would be kind of the worst case scenario. But the thing is we don't have 5 waves yet. So if this is only a 3-wave move, and then we had to come all the way back down in here, that wouldn't be wave 1. That would be just another correction. So, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Just kind of throwing things out at you. So, to summarize, my main idea has not changed for Bitcoin, and that is somewhere in this level, Bitcoin should test and hopefully hold. So, A, B, C. If this is a 3-wave move, then we have another 3-wave move like this, right? And then let's get 5. That would be nice. So we would get 3, 3, 5. So that would be an ABC. And then reevaluate up here. That's sort of one idea, but basically the main idea is simple: rise, crash, retrace, and now we're going down into reaccumulation. Basically, we're gonna accumulate in here for a while before blasting to the upside. It might not take a while. It might be quick. It might take a while. It might be all summer. We don't know. So that would be my main idea, and that's been the main idea for a while. Now, the one that we really would love to see is that this was an ABC, this is a 1-2, and this is a 1-2, and let's go. And that could still be the case, right? We don't need the reaccumulation. This could be 1, 2, and 1, and then we have, actually, let me clear the screen up. So the ultimate bullish thing that could possibly happen is that this is a 1-2, this is a 1, right? And then we have an A, B, C for a 2, and then we go. So that's a 1-2, 1-2. I actually really like that. I really like that a lot. Because it gets people bearish. It would make sense of why this third wave is here, right? Or this 3-wave move. And basically this 3-wave move is a B wave. So actually, I'm going to go over the 1 hour mark, so please hit that like button. I know you're probably not feeling super thrilled today because we saw our portfolios take a dump, but you got to look at the bigger picture here, and you got to understand crypto is not going anywhere. This is a minor little roadblock in the way of your future success. And you have to firmly believe that. So take time out of the equation. So again, 1, ABC, right? That's 1, 2. And then we have 1, A. We come up for B. And now we're coming down for C. So A, B, C. And this is a 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we get rolling here. And maybe we build a base down in here. So you can kind of say it's 1, 2, 1, 2 slash reaccumulation, right? Because they're going to do some kind of shenanigans to get... They don't want you to be rich. They don't want you to make money. They don't want you to hold crypto. They want you out of the market. How do they do that? They liquidate. They dump the market when the sentiment is bullish, right? So that it basically makes you leave. It says, no, I can't take this anymore. I'm out. So you basically sell, and most times people sell at the bottom. Not to say that this is the bottom. So again, Bitcoin is in a much different spot than the altcoins, which is kind of, something's fishy here. Something doesn't seem right to me, right? Because again, Theta and a lot of the altcoins are down here. Bitcoin is up here, right? So normally when you go to support, you buy it, right? So that's why we see a lot of people buying alts right now, and you can see the price, right, sort of rebounding. Not to say that the dump is over. So let's just see, what happens over this weekend and what happens next week. So, the market did show its hand, and we got some pretty substantial dumps. But let's go to total 3, because total 3, right? Here's okay. So remember the fractal for total 3? I haven't looked at it yet. Let's go see if we can match it up, because I'm looking at total 3 here, and it actually doesn't look so bad. If you look at the range, this is total 3. This is all of the altcoins, right? Now, what I don't really like too much is it's not a nice range. It's more of a kind of a rising wedge range. You can kind of draw a trend line here, right? And then draw this trend line here. And it kind of looks like a rising wedge. In which case, you need to come down like this, right? Because this whole thing from here to here is one wave. So all of this is one direction. So, yes, it's very choppy and it doesn't look like one direction because there's different turns in here, right? A lot of chop, but the whole thing is one direction. And now we need some kind of counter direction, right? So that would kind of be my main idea for total 3. But let's take a look at the fractal, because this really does look like some type of maybe like a diagonal pattern here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had a 5-wave move, and now we have the beginning of a dump here, back down to without breaking the lows here, right? So we need to dump down in here and then explode to the moon. So that would be my main idea. So so now you guys know that's kind of what I'm thinking here. We need some kind of 3-wave move here that retests the bull market support band. It breaks this trend here. Let's take a fib retracement to the top here. Yeah, and look at that. The lines, it goes right up to the 618. So we need kind of a... actually, let me do this. Let me take all that off. Stay with me here. This is a very important day, very important video. This is your investment here. So I would take all the information you can get between here. So this is the area, and that's exactly where the bull market support band is, by the way. So let me get rid of that. So that's kind of where I'm thinking we're going, and we almost hit it too. We almost hit it. So let me zoom in. The 4-hour candle just started. So it wouldn't surprise me if we come back and dump or fill in some of these gaps here. So let's see. Yeah, so this is 1, 2, 3, 1. So a diagonal has only 3 waves, right? 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. 1, 2, 3. So I'll have to get back on that one and think about it. But essentially, you have some kind of diagonal here, right? And this diagonal needs a ABC correction. So I'm not sure. I guess I would start it here. So A, B, and then C, something like that, and then go. That would kind of what I'm thinking now. Since we had that big dramatic dump, basically it prolonged, right? It extended this out here. So now it's going to extend out at least probably another month or two for this to get worked out. So, okay, so now let's go take a look at the fractal. So when we look at the fractal, this is what happened as well, right? We had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at this. This is like textbook, man. Wow, this is insane, right? We had this pullback. We had a 1, 2, right? We had 3. We had 4. We had 5. We had that same type of diagonal here. And then what happened? We had an A, B, C, all the way back down to the bull market support band. And where did that thing come in at? The Fibonacci here. Wow, it actually went even lower to the 702 before reversing. So now, without further ado, let's match it up. So there's our fractal. This is the grand finale part 2. So you gotta look at. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling upset, it's not gonna help you. It's really not gonna help you. I've been in this game for so long that it really doesn't matter, right? Because you have to understand: are you buying crypto to get rich today, tomorrow, or are you buying crypto to, have generational wealth? This is a long man's game. This is not some quick thing that's going to happen fast. It's basically, it's going to make you work for it, right? And basically the way you work for it is not breaking your back, right? Well, obviously, because you have to go to work and actually buy the crypto, but it's actually making you work for it through your patience, through your perseverance, right? You got to be, put your blinders on and focus on the mission here. So, wow, look at the fractal, guys. I mean, if the fractal didn't play out perfectly, then I don't know what did. This is like even more. This is like the grand finale of grand finales on this video. I mean, look at this. This is like textbook, guys. And wow, look at that. So wow, this is nuts. This fractal played out perfectly. And you know what? We were actually, you can go back and watch the videos I put out yesterday that, basically all week talking about this down move here. This move to the downside. I didn't think it would happen so dramatically fast, but hey, it's better it happens fast than slow, right? So this is it right here. This is probably going to be my thumbnail. Let me screenshot it. Right there. right there. Look at this. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the fractal. I'm gonna bring it up, and we're gonna talk about it. Okay, so obviously, let's start from the beginning, and you're gonna want to hear this. So we have this three-wave move to the downside. That's exactly what we had here. This three-wave move to the downside. Okay. Then what the fractal did is it moved up. Same thing here. It moved up. Then it moved back down without taking out the low. It moved down without taking out the low. And then it kind of went on a, this three-wave move to the upside, right? So same thing happened here. We went on this three-wave move to the upside. Then what it did is it actually had a pretty big pullback here, but on the price, it had a little bit of a three-way pullback. And then what it had a three-way pullback, right? Three-way pullback. And then the fractal, it shot up without taking out this high. That's exactly what happened here. It shot up without taking out this high. Then it started to crash. Well, not crash, but correct, right? And that's exactly what we have now. So what next? What's going to happen next? This fractal will tell you exactly what's going to happen next. So what's going to happen next is we're going to come down, which we already did, maybe a little bit lower, right? I'm not sure if it's finished yet, but it's got to come down a little bit lower and then come back up, just like this. See how it came back up here? And then it finished the three-way move. So 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, 3. Let's come down here to the bull market support band, right? Down to the 618. And then boom. Let's pump to the upside, right? And then kind of play around in here, right? Just like this. And then start to go to the moon. That, my friends, is my main idea. And it's been playing out like flawlessly. Now, I'm not perfect. I've gotten a lot of things wrong, but at the end of the day, I've been more on the money than anything. And this latest move that we dumped today, I didn't think it was going to happen that hard, that fast, that intense. But now that we, because when you look at the fractal, you go, okay, it's going to do this and this and this, and it's fitting up. But when it happens, it feels much more dramatic than it actually, matching up here. You know what I mean? So, but then when you go back and look at it, you go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that's why, okay, yeah, see? And it kind of makes you feel better, right? So if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling like, man, this sucks, it's you're on Twitter or whatever, and you're looking at everybody upset, that's a good thing, right? The more sentiment gets ugly, the more bullish you should get. You see what I mean? So if there's anything that should give you hope, it's number one, Bitcoin is at an all-time high. It's right in that, it's in that upper range. It's completing that inverse head and shoulders. It bounced off the bull market support band. You have the crypto bill. You have the Ethereum ETF coming. But if there's anything else, it's that this fractal is exactly playing out the way it should. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this video. But if we expect to keep rolling this fractal here, we should break out sometime in July here. And I think that's right around the time maybe the XRP lawsuit should be finishing up. So we're going to need some kind of news event to get us out of this rut that we've been in. So yeah, but that's kind of what I'm looking for is something like this. So yes, it doesn't feel good. Yes, it feels bearish. We had a nasty candle today. Your altcoins are down 10+%. It doesn't feel good, but with great crisis comes great opportunity, right? So I don't think that's what they say. I think I was trying to quote Spider-Man, but what was it again? With great power comes great responsibility, but with great crypto crash comes great opportunity. I don't know. I got to work on that one. But yeah, so, when we look at we're right here, basically right here. So we need to come back up in a B wave and then finish the C wave, So we definitely have more downside to go. So that's the thing. So now that we established what total 3, the whole total market cap is going to do, let's see if we can dissect what that would translate into. We'll do XRP first, and then we'll do Theta. So it looks like we already had the A wave. So boom, boom. Depending how high this gets, something like this, boom, something like that, where we get divergence between these two lows here. Or maybe it's not finished. I don't know. We'll have to see. But based off the fractal, that's kind of what I would think. And then kind of play up here, right? Play up like this and then go. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here for XRP. You know, move back, finish out this move here and then continue. Now, it could totally get ugly and we can go down to that 37-cent area. But, you know, total 3, you know, it's not too far away from its target. So I couldn't imagine XRP dropping another 10 plus cents. I mean, it's pretty excessive for where total 3 is. So let's look at Theta here. So what would I imagine Theta? Well, let's look at the fractal. Well, according to this fractal, you know, it should be the bottom is in. Now I can extend it out, but it looks actually better the way it's supposed to be fit in here. So wow, so this should, so am I buying Theta right now? I mean, not necessarily for a trade, but for my hodl position. Anything, like I've been saying, anything under $2 I think is a generational buy for the long-term price of Theta. Yes, it can go down to $1.50, but based off everything, that's why we work it through. That's why my videos are longer, because I don't just sit there and tell you. We kind of go through the work, right? We try to dissect things, and we kind of do it together and trying to figure out the waves. And now that we looked at the fractals, we looked at the wave counts, we looked at the structure, now we can come to somewhat of a balanced conclusion of what we have. So it's not too great, but it's not too ugly either. So, you know, according to this fractal, right, the bottom, this should be the bottom right here. I mean, look at this. It like literally nailed this candle here. So, but, you know, total 3, right, has that little ABC, right? And this was the, I think this was the ABC right there. So there's total 3 here, and I'm kind of matching it up with the Theta fractal. Okay, so we have total 3 on the top, so kind of this 3-wave shape, right? But to me, right, Theta already had this 3-wave shape. That's the thing. That's the thing I'm kind of, you know, we already had this 3-wave shape. So if we come down, maybe come back up a little bit and then finish out the wave here and get a little bit of divergence here without taking out all of these lows, especially this bottom one here, then I can see it, you know, playing out nicely organically with the fractal. But when I match up, you know, because there's 2 different fractals, there's the Theta fractal, there's also the total 3 fractal, right? So the Theta fractal actually says it's pretty much complete here. And I would actually do it like this. Let me make it a little bit cleaner here. There we go. So, you know, these moves, they're not, you know, completely perfect, but according to, you know, what this is here, we should be, I mean, this should be the bottom here for Theta, theoretically. But the thing is, you know, again, total 3 still has that ABC correction. So I would lean more towards the total 3 fractal. We probably have a little more downside to go. But ultimately, we got more upside to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually look at other coins and compare their fractals to where the total 3 fractal was, and see if there's any confluence. So you can see the V-chain fractal, right? This is what happened the last time. Obviously, this one was actually a flat. This one didn't take out the high. This one did. It's the same kind of correction, but there you go. That's kind of the fractal there. and it actually matches up nicely. So yeah, maybe a little bit more downside, but I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close here to a bottom finishing here. So, you know, if I go back in time, right, if I take the XRP fractal in the same area, right, so that would be September 2020, October 2020, you know, where I took the total 3 and the other fractal. So if I take that same fractal, it doesn't look as nice, but, you know, when I match it up with here, it actually, you know, it kind of would make a little bit of sense here. And that's actually very interesting, right? We have this down move, right? Down move, come back up, come back up, come back down, come back down. Then we have this boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3. And then you actually swoop the high. You actually come up, swoop the high, and then you flat, and then you basically dump, and then you basically dump. So I mean, we're right there. I mean, this could be, you know, a bottom getting hashed out in here, right? If we start, here's the thing, if we start developing a base in here, it's going to look really interesting. You know, so when I match the fractal up, there you go, something like that. Now this could be invalidated, right? But this is kind of our next you know, our next lookout, right? This is what we're looking out for. If we break all of these lows and the total 3 and Bitcoin, then we can throw it out the window. But right now, I mean, you cannot deny how nicely, you know, this total 3 fractal has been playing out. I mean, all of these points are pretty well, almost perfect. So, but yeah, that'll do it for this video. It's a long video, but there's a lot to talk about. So you know, there's tons of information. So, definitely watch the whole video if you haven't. Speed it up to 1.5 to 2x speed if you have to. But anyways, be safe out there. Be level-headed, and make sure to tune in almost every day to my channel, and we'll get this updated here, and you know, be on the lookout for the next move here. So yeah, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, not financial advice. These are just my ideas, the way I'm interpreting the market. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.